Hello everyone, how are you all? You are listening to the Season 1, Episode 2 of Better You, Better Life, a self improvement plan podcast. Let's talk a brief about what we discussed about my last episode. In a brief recap, I have discussed about why I'm choosing this podcast and how this podcast may add value to others and how it will benefit me. And we also touched a bit about making mistakes. We talked about different kinds of mistakes, how mistakes we can use them as a device or as a tool for strength rather than a weakness, and a brief description about what we are going to cover today. Moving on, in today's episode, we will be talking about why we make mistakes. What happens to us when we make a mistakes? We will be discussing a bit about psychological part of it, and then lastly, it's natural that you must have received criticism from your near ones, dear ones, and even from strangers. So how we can use mistakes or a criticism and how we should handle them. Without delaying further, let's get started. Understanding human nature. Let's discuss a bit about our human nature. We are not perfect. We make ourselves better and better and achieve that perfection through repetition or practice. And while practicing, you might have made some mistake or you might have made some errors. And because of that, we are moving forward. And let's not go that deep. It's like mistakes are a part of our daily life. Say, for example, you went to the canteen of your office and you poured some coffee, and suddenly, while turning back, you spilled some amount of coffee on your colleague's shirt. Or it may happen that sometimes you are working in such a panic mode, you must have a pressing deadline before you, and you shoot a mail of a presentation or a report to your boss without attaching the main document. Later, feeling embarrassed, feeling guilty, cursing yourself, you send a relay mail apologizing generously to your senior management and thereby improving yourself. So sometimes mistakes can be a frustrating, sometimes embarrassing experience, or even sometimes costly. Costly in the sense, let's take example of investment in stock market. Maybe being little over ambitious, you might have dumped more money on a rising stock only to know next morning that that stock of that particular company got crashed in the morning. Thereby you are losing lots of your money. Moving on, however, making mistakes is also an essential part of our learning process. For example, let's go back to school days. In school days, when we start writing letters, English letters like A, B, C, D. So in our first standard, we never learned to write these letters in a single try. We scribbled copies after copies, notebooks after notebooks before writing that single particular letter A. So that's how. So that we don't rate it as a mistake, rather we took it as a part of our experience, part of our learning. It is through our mistakes that we grow and improve and ultimately become a better version of ourselves. Well, I'm not here to give you any professional advice, neither I am a licensed practitioner. All I'm doing is to share my story, share my understanding by doing some research online and offline from others' experience, from my own experience, and try to compile them with an objective that it will bring some value to you as a listener. Moving on, let's go to our first requirement of the episode, which is why do we make mistakes? Let's break it down step by step. We make mistakes for a variety of reasons. Sometimes we lack the knowledge or experience to make the right decision. Sometimes we may be distracted. We are doing a particular work which needs your focus, but somehow inside in your mind some external thoughts are coming up, and your monkey mind is wandering from one place to another place, and in that mishap you might make some error, you might make some judgment, and sometimes making decisions. In some cases, this is also true that we might get overconfident or careless, thinking that yeah, this is very simple, very easy to do this work, and in the overconfidence we make some mistake. Regardless of the mistakes are part of our human nature. One reason also we can try to explore is that our brains are not perfect. Our brains are complex organs that are constantly processing information and making decisions. Sometimes our brain can also be influenced by biases we receive from the persons in our surrounding, from the society. Sometimes for the change in emotional state of ourselves. Sometimes we do take some rusty decisions when we are sad or even we are angry. That's why you will see many people say that when you are angry, do not make any decision, because that will do more harm rather than good for yourself as well as others. And there are some other factors, like somebody is trying to provoke you, somebody is trying to influence or brainwash you, and can block your judgment or common sense, which may lead to some erroneous actions. Then another reasons that we make mistake is probably we are constantly learning and adapting to new situations. Let's take a small another example, that suppose you are graduated, you have done your engineering, and now you have got a job in new city. And while going in a new city, it's a completely new atmosphere and new surrounding for you, and in the process you are still yet to get acclimatized with your new situation, and as a result you will try to behave yourself as normal as possible, and in the process you might offend someone with your action, or maybe because the culture is different, so some actions might not be needed at that point of time. So, and you only know about it from the responses you get from your surrounding, and that makes you conscious so that you don't repeat the same action, same mistake in future. So that is also part of learning and adaptation. As we encounter new challenges, we are bound to make mistakes along the way. In chemistry laboratory, if you have done chemical reaction testing, you might have noticed that though reading the manual we are conducting the experiment, result may not be perfect. Sometimes the amount of that chemical may be more, or maybe it could have been less to get that perfect result. I'm going in the science way, let's come out of that. Okay, so I hope you get the drift what I'm trying to say. So these mistakes helps us to learn and improve, and ultimately it helps us becoming us with a personality that is more resilient and adaptable. And there is no need for you to feel guilty about it, to feel regret about it, unless you do it intentionally. Let's So when we make a mistake, we do experience a range of emotions such as embarrassment, frustration, or disappointment. In the process, you may feel anxious or stressed about the consequences of our mistakes. Obviously, because you don't know how the response would be, these feelings are natural and can be challenging sometimes to manage, but that's what we are here for, right? Being adaptable to the situation Let's, instead of repenting, regretting, and investing our energy in swabbing down, let's gather that energy, that encouragement, and let us try to find solutions and give our effort. And you will see, those interestingly, those who are accusing you of making a mistake, in few cases they will be the one who will come forward and lend a hand of help to you. However, let me tell you one more thing. However, it is important to remember that making a mistake does not define us as individuals. I repeat, it is important to remember that making a mistake does not define us as individuals. We are all capable of making mistakes, and it is through our mistakes that we learn and grow. Even President of America make mistakes. Donald Trump has made mistakes. In Ukraine, Zelensky has made some mistakes. Vladimir Putin, the president of Russia, has also made some mistakes. NASA has also made some mistakes. Because of that, they have improvised themselves in its subsequent Apollo missions, and finally they could help win humankind as the individuals who has reached space for the first time. So that's how we learn and grow. Moving on to our, I hope it was useful. Let's try to go forward in our next component of this episode, is that criticism. Criticism is nothing but a kind of feedback, a kind of reaction that people provide you, that others provide you as a result of your actions. Now, those actions which are correct for you may not be correct for for other people, or vice versa. And how you handle them. Whenever you make a mistakes, now these days people have become so impatient, so wild, that they do not have that time, energy, or they don't want to invest that effort to understand your context or understand your situation, and they will judge you instantly. Yet you should not react. Why I'm saying this? Because if you react, then you will never be able to get the depth of your situation. Instead, try to gather as much as information and try to use it in your favor to solve that situation. See, when we make a mistake, it is natural that we will receive criticism from others. It may be possible that they might get convinced, but they might repel initially before they accept in the end. So criticism will be there. So you have to be little, let's say, thick-skinned, and keep yourself resisting to those criticism. While criticism can be difficult to hear, to receive, but I tell you, it can be a valuable tool for learning and growth. How you can use it as a valuable tool? The first basic thing is listen actively. Listening actively is one such powerful ways, I would say, to cool down the situation. When receiving criticism, it is important to listen carefully to what the other person is saying. Try to understand your mistake from other person's point of view. Try to gauge their level of understanding, try to gauge their perspective, and be open to feedback, because that is the valuable output you are getting without investing your time and energy, which you can use it for improving yourself. Another thing is take responsibility. This technique is very basic, may sound very naive, but it is very powerful. If you have made a mistake, take responsibility for your actions. It is very important that taking responsibility, first of all, it gives a message to the person that no, he's not a guy who is going to run away. He's someone who is there, who is accepting, and who is ready to work it out. When you are able to give that message to your surrounding, definitely people will try to treat you with more respect. Acknowledging that mistake, I'm not saying it's very easy. I'm not saying it's very easy, and every time you should not take responsibility. When you know that you are not involved in it, when you know that you have nothing to do with the outcome, then don't take responsibility. Instead, try to help others for improving the situation, and also, if necessary, apologize. Saying sorry will not get you killed. Instead, it will help you to bring down your level of ego, and you will be able to build more meaningful relationships. Another aspect can be from handling criticism is to learn from the experience. Now that you have taken responsibility, you have listened carefully, proactively from others. So, what should you do? Just use this as a part of training. Take this as an experience. Use this criticism as an opportunity to learn and grow. Take the feedback on board, note it down somewhere in your notebook so that it will ingrain in your memory, in your in your subconscious mind, so that you don't use this in future. And this is also a skill. Not making the same mistake again is also a skill, and for that you are using all these kind of knowledge that you are gaining from feedback from others, by taking responsibility and how other people are approaching towards you, as an experience as a whole. And this will definitely help you in improving your skills and decision making process in the future. And most importantly, as far as mental health is concerned, don't torture yourself saying that you are responsible for everything. No, that's not true. There are certain things which are not in your control, and you are not responsible for it. Let others take responsibility. Let others come forward, take initiative. You have not signed any contract for doing all the A to Z works. Make mistakes, you will take criticism, you will learn. How long you can learn? So somewhere you have to stop, right? So staying positive is very important. Yes, I have made this mistake. I have learned from it. Now I should move on, instead of holding on to that situation in your mind. And remember that criticism is not a reflection of your worth as a person. It is just a matter of that moment that you have been accused, which you can work it out and improve yourself coming out of that accusation. Stay positive and use this experience to build your resilience and improve your self esteem. Staying positive helps in building your self esteem. So that's how you should handle criticism. And these are the few observations which I feel that one should practice in order to grow, learn, and improve himself. Before dragging it further, let us summarize that what we have discussed so far. In short, mistakes are natural part of our human being, and it will happen consciously, unconsciously, whether you prevent yourself or not. You will make mistakes. Key is to learn from it rather than holding it in your mind and feeling guilty about it. While mistakes can be frustrating or even costly, but this is also essential as far as our learning process is concerned. And through all this part of experience, we develop understanding on why we make mistakes and how we can handle criticisms by active listening, then staying calm, staying positive, and most importantly, taking responsibility for improving your situation. And that's how we can grow and improve as an individual. Remember, making mistakes does not define us. It is how we respond to them that matters the most. With this end note, I thank you for listening to my podcast. In the next episode, I will come up a bit more about making mistakes through various anecdotes and how we can learn from them. We hope you found this episode helpful. Till then, keep bettering yourself. I will see you next time. Thank you so much.